All right. So, very good evening to everyone who have joined for an exclusive session, I would say, at the GIBS IRE Talks, which happens to be one of our flagship program. I would say IRE stands for Innovation, Research, and Entrepreneurship. Well, if I talk about the Indian scenarios, I'm pretty much sure that all of you will agree. Uh, there has been a numerous amount of students who are transforming themselves or aspire to become an entrepreneurs of tomorrow. So I believe it's a moral responsibility of a business school like us to nurture these young leaders, right? To nurture these young entrepreneurs, and that's the whole purpose why we have started this flagship program named IRE, and it has indeed become one of the global platform today. Under IRE, we run, I would say, multiple programs. We run physical sessions. We take a podcast. We host these IRE online talks where we have hosted numerous experts, not just within India, but across the world. I'm so very happy to inform you, Professor Nils. I think we have closer to 20 plus sessions so far where I have connected with the eminent academicians and entrepreneurs from different parts of the country. So that's another, great plus point, as my students would be also will have an opportunity to understand how this entrepreneurship or ecosystem, works globally as well, right? So I extend a heartfelt welcome to all my participants who have joined. A special mention to my friend who have joined from all the way from Netherlands, Professor Nils. Thank you so much for joining us for this IRE session. On behalf of the management, on behalf of all the students and faculties of Global Institute of Business Studies, let me extend my heartfelt welcome to you, Professor Nils. Professor Nils is an educator. I was just mentioning off camera that, is a beautiful combination he has. He's an educator as well as an entrepreneur. That's a very rare combination to find in the Indian scenarios. Might be it's very quite, quite, I would say, accepted and appreciated in Europe, but it's a very unique combination in India. We always, why I mention this, because we always feel today the students are to be explored practically. So here's somebody who has not just theoretically strong, but also practically involved in this. So he's the right man today talking about the very right topic. For those who have joined from a different, I would say apart from GIBS, a quick thing about GIBS, we are a business school operating in Bangalore, the capital city of Karnataka, India, since last 11 years now. We run two niche programs, Bachelor of Business Administration and Postgraduate Diploma in Business Management. We call it as a PGDM. We have closer to 1,000 students with us, pan-India. I'm so very happy to say we have students from the top north to the bottom south, the beautiful diversity that we have. And this is all about us. We are into expansion mode. We are very soon venturing into some other brilliant courses, which can create havoc, in the market. And we're all set to nurture the tomorrow's leader. That's it from my side. So I'm so happy to welcome once again Professor Nils. And today we have titled this talk very beautifully: Why you must make a difference as an entrepreneur. Wow! When Professor Nils gave me this topic, I was so very impressed because it's all about being different from the rest. And I'm really excited to listen to Professor Nils. On behalf of all of you, I extend my heartfelt welcome once again. Professor Nils, over to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the honor is all mine. Thank you very much for inviting me for this lecture. I really like to talk about entrepreneurship. If you don't mind, I will share my my presentation, my screen with you.
Yes, please.
But then you will not be able to see me anymore. Oh yeah, I'm still there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, as an entrepreneur, if you want to make it, you need to stand out and be appreciated. Of course, in this case, if I'm talking about how to make a difference, I mean how to make a difference in the world. So it's not only about being different; it's also being able to create impact. I think nowadays I help a lot of entrepreneurs still. Let me share some background about me so you know who I am. I've always been an innovator and a problem solver in my entire career. 30 years ago, I started a business connecting entrepreneurs with business angels. They weren't called business angels then, private investors, but that's what started 30 years ago, and I've been doing that all the time. 15 years ago, I started in higher education, mostly teaching entrepreneurship. At this moment, I'm a lecturer at the International Business Program of the Hogeschool Utrecht. I also founded an incubator in Utrecht called Graduate Space. I'm also a board member still in one of the most active business angels networks in the Netherlands. And I help the government spend their money wisely on entrepreneurs. Yeah, for today we have 45 minutes, and then there's opportunities to ask a question. Usually, I don't mind having discussion, but the program now is set on not having a discussion, which is fine to me. But today I will explain why it's important to create impact as an entrepreneur, why you need to matter to society and not only matter to your shareholders. So the 45 minutes that we have, there will be a crash course on entrepreneurship, and I'm sure you all know what entrepreneurship is already. But I would like to add my view on that to you. I'm also going to explain a little bit about making impact. I think customer value is one of the most important drivers for entrepreneurship. Problem solving, it's what entrepreneurs actually do. And there's also some tips from me to you to become successful. In the last 15 minutes, we have our Q&A, if you don't mind. For the sake of discussion, I added this quick reference. There's all kinds of entrepreneurs everywhere. If someone calls himself an entrepreneur, I always need to know what their ambition is. Otherwise, I don't know how to advise them, because there's different goals for different entrepreneurs. Mostly, people that come to me, they either are an expert and they want to sell their expertise or their hours, like consultants and accountants and things like that. You have knowledge and you want to sell that to someone. It's fine, but it's not the kind of entrepreneurship I'm actually talking about. Most of the other companies are asset-based. I call it asset-based because usually you have something of value, you exploit that to get money from customers. Agriculture could be like that, but also retail. You have a shop, it's an asset, and you can sell stuff there. Real estate is also asset-based, but also trade, contracting, manufacturing. A lot of these businesses are totally fine. They make money. I like them, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm mostly talking about new concepts, new companies that are innovative, either technically or socially, and that pursue high growth. So you really need to kind of get out there in the world and try to make it your own. That's actually the kind of entrepreneurs and kind of business. Yeah, and when I started investor matchmaking 30 years ago, oh, it says my. Can you still hear me? It says my internet connection is bad.
No, it's perfect. Professor Nils, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. So I've seen the focus. When 30 years ago I was very much focused in high tech. It was IT, pharmaceuticals, patents, and big investments. That was the thing back there. So you needed to have something, a product that you could defend legally, so you can have an advantage over your competitors. And the focus was actually mostly making money. I see especially the interest of my investors. They have lost interest in pure making money. And these investors, they are entrepreneurs that sold their business. You can't call them ex-entrepreneurs because if you ask them, they still think they're entrepreneurs. But they like to invest, and they don't do that only for the money. They do that because they're interested in entrepreneurs and their businesses. You recognize them if you talk to them. Like if it's like a money investor, they only talk about risks and returns, while these angel investors, they talk about your business. They talk about your customers. They talk about how you want to create value for your customers, and they're not interested in only making money. They are also interested in the companies that they invest in doing good. Otherwise, they're not interested. So that triggered me to look around. What I see, and it's over the past 10 years already, the high-tech sector is hyper competitive. It's extremely difficult to make money in high-tech. It's hardly profitable. It needs humongous amounts of money that are exposed for a long time. And the chance that you have your returns is actually very slow. So investors, at least the private investors, are moving away with that. When you challenge social issues, or when you create solutions to social problems, and you create value in that way, you also create prosperity. And it is more difficult because you're not talking only about your customer, but you're also talking about a lot of stakeholders, like the municipality or the government, or there can be all kinds of stakeholders involved. And you need to create value propositions for everyone. So it might be a bit more complicated, but there's much less competition out there. So it's actually easier to make money by doing something nice than doing something very technical, which I find actually funny. So it's sometimes called entrepreneurship. I talk a lot to social entrepreneurs, but what I bring to the table is the hardcore entrepreneurial skills from the high tech sector. Because if you want to do good, if you want to make people happy, you need to be very business savvy. You need to make money to grow. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. So you can call it social entrepreneurship, but it's the same entrepreneurship as all the other kinds of entrepreneurship. It doesn't. You still have to make money. Anyway, so what would you? I want you to think about this. About why you think that entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs or any other entrepreneurs are so special, because they are special. They're not like ordinary people. You mostly recognize them, and if they're experienced entrepreneurs, you recognize them from other people. They show different behavior. So write down what would make a good entrepreneur. I'll continue talking. Don't worry. And I want you to keep those aspects in mind. And at the end of the presentation, I want you to check whether what you have learned from my lecture was what you thought already to be important. This is a technical part. I've done a lot of research on entrepreneurship because 10 years ago, I didn't know why entrepreneurs were successful. I just knew they were. So I tried to figure out what they were actually doing. And I also looked up definitions of entrepreneurship. The oldest one from Marshall from 1890, which is, it's quite a long time ago. But anyway, Marshall stated that entrepreneurs organize and coordinate economic resources, and somehow that they still do that. Schumpeter said an entrepreneur is an innovator and an industry leader. Schultz claims that entrepreneurs distribute resources over alternative uses. Covey said entrepreneurs demonstrate leadership. Kirsten said they are created alert to market opportunities, and Casson says an entrepreneur takes decision. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't take decisions? But these things all still count. They're not gone. They're still there, but things are being added on. Saraswati, I think she's actually from India. She claims that entrepreneurs need to leverage their own strengths and assets to be successful. Brown, one of my favorites, states that a good product design is based on the need of customers. He came up with design thinking, which is very, very powerful for entrepreneurs. Also, Entrepreneur, from the business model canvas, they state that entrepreneurs align costs and benefits. Rees, you might know, says that entrepreneurs work under conditions of extreme uncertainty, and that's actually very true, and that kind of defines the behavior of entrepreneurs. Blankendorf claimed that a startup company is not like a small version of a large company, but it's actually something completely else, trying to create a new scalable business model. Ollett, which I actually also like, he believes that entrepreneurs should actually use a disciplined approach. And he claims that entrepreneurship can be taught. I didn't think that 15 years ago. Now I am convinced. It's teachable, and you can learn it. I have some proof for that also. I will tell you later. Stam, who is actually one of my favorite professors, he's from Utrecht. He states that entrepreneurs contribute to the creation of prosperity. Because he claims that prosperity can be defined as the accumulation of solutions to social problems. It started like way back with an invention of fire and the wheel and things like that. It's entrepreneurs that come up with these bright ideas to solve problems, whether they're societal or not. And the accumulation of these solutions actually define our prosperity right now. The insights that I use most now, I try to teach new entrepreneurs are Saraswati, you need to leverage your strengths. Brown, you need to understand customer value. Rees, you need to navigate this extreme uncertainty. Ollett, you need to be disciplined. You need to do what needs to be done. And Stam, yeah, you might as well start with social problems and not hope to add to that just like that. I think I'm making. Am I going too fast?
Absolutely fine, not a problem at all, Professor Mitch. Yeah.
So I of course, it's my profession. I need to think about entrepreneurship. So I had this idea about entrepreneurship, which I developed in 1995, where an entrepreneur it's the black box. I worked a lot with government back then, and in my opinion, an entrepreneur was a resources converter. Like the resources, like you have people, you have knowledge, you have capital. You give it to an entrepreneur, and he creates a sustainable, profitable market position. So input is resources, output is a sustainable, profitable market position. And what the entrepreneur actually did in the black box was actually a conversion, because I figured out that some entrepreneurs were 10 times more efficient in converting resources than other entrepreneurs. And it didn't make sense to the government. They would give any entrepreneur money. And I said, no. You need to see whether they are good resources converters. But actually, these this idea of an entrepreneur being a resources converter falls back to like the beginning of the 20th century, thoughts about researchers then. Along the way, I figured out that was not enough. It was more subtle, and according to my new definition now, which also kind of refers to the extreme uncertainty thing, is when you start your business, you need to go on the left side of the sheet. You are confused. You have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, you're doing something that nobody ever did before. There's no way of knowing what you're doing. Everything is just, yeah, it's just all kinds of thoughts and ideas, but you have no idea. So what you need to do to get unconfused is do research. You need to validate your assumptions. You need to talk to your customers and see whether what you think is also what they think, or you have to first talk to them and get to know their lives, in the empathize phase, and from design thinking. If you do the research and you get more and more answers to your questions, you create some form of understanding. When you start to prototype and test, you get more clarity. In the end, you get focus, and you know what you need to do. When I teach entrepreneurship in a minor program, there's groups of students that need to come up with something, and like half the students start at the confusion side, where they talk to customers and find a problem to solve. The other half already know what their solution is going to be. They have this product idea. They usually want to make an app or something, and then I force them to do research. And by the end of the course, they're totally confused, while the confused students at the beginning are focused. And so you can start on the demand side. You can start on the supply side mostly. The tendency to start on the supply side is very great. You have these ideas. You want to create this product or the service or whatever. The chance that you will end up being successful in connecting to customers and making money is like 10 times lower than when you start investigating problems and try to find a customer group that can't sleep at night because they're so worried because something's not going right. Focus on them and see how you can fix that problem. Your success rate can be, well, 5 to 10 times higher. That's what I experienced over these 30 years. So the role of an entrepreneur nowadays is an agile solver of complex problems. So you need to be very agile and creative, but you need to focus on complex problems. So I made a list of the things that actually changed over the last I don't know, 10 years maybe. So before 2010, still from 1995 to 2010, the focus was on technical innovation. The focus now is mostly on social innovation. The focus before was on creating a unique selling point. It was supply thinking. You needed to create innovation, technology, unique selling point. It's all the same game. It's try to create something that people might like. Nowadays, it's very much about creating customer value. So you need to start with the customer and see what they need and what they are and what they like. Yeah, more 10 years ago and longer, it was a lot about venture capital. It still seems to be like that, but not anymore in the startup scene. It's all like growing companies already. If you really want to start your business, venture capital is not interested. And nowadays, it's more on impact investors. They're mostly either family offices or private people, and sometimes even crowdfunding is possible to get you started. Like the former startups were hierarchic. Usually there was one leader and everybody followed the leader. Nowadays, if you want to solve complex problems, one brain is not enough. You need 3 or 4 brains at least, and these brains need to work together. So the play for power it's not relevant. It's going to hold you back, and you need to get your heads together, and you need to figure out what's true and what's not. It was a lot about power, like you needed to become market leader to be able to make a margin. Everything was about killing the competition. Nowadays, in social ventures, usually there's no competition, and you focus on creating impact. Previously, shareholder value was the thing. Your shareholders were everything, and you did everything for your shareholders. Nowadays, if you start a social enterprise, it's not only about the shareholders. You have a very important stakeholders. That could be the government or the municipality, and you have customers, which are actually the private people that you help with something. But there's more parties involved that are actually need to profit from what you're doing. Otherwise, you won't get anywhere. Again, it used to focus on market share. If you were the dominant player in the market, you could make the most money. Nowadays, it's not necessarily about market share. It's more about customer satisfaction. I call these happy customers because if they're happy, they're more willing to pay, and and they don't nag. It's not by making them happy to give stuff away. No, it's making them happy by creating value and getting paid for it. So make profit to maximize return. It's still being taught in most business schools. And nowadays, I believe it's okay as an entrepreneur to make profit to maximize impact. The funny thing is, you still need to make profit. So that didn't change. So the hardcore entrepreneurship, you need to make a profit, otherwise you can't grow. You can't take care of anybody if you can't take care of yourself. Making a profit requires hardcore entrepreneurial skills. What you do with that profit makes a difference. When I talk to my investor friends, these are the customer value, the teamwork, and the happy customers, or how you make customers happy, is what they actually want to talk about with you. And if you don't have answers to their questions, you're gone. They will not invest in you. So, what do you do all day as an entrepreneur? Well, basically, your job is to solve problems. In our program, in the International Business Program, we hardly talk about entrepreneurship, but somehow we are creating the most entrepreneurial students in the entire university. The thing is, we do not teach entrepreneurship as such. We teach problem-solving skills, because that's what entrepreneurs do. You solve your own problems all day. You need to unconfuse yourself. You need to think about how you want to create a prototype. You run out of money, or you don't have coffee for today. So you're basically problem solving all day, but also for your customers, you want to solve their problems. So you're involved in their problems, but it's not just the customers, it's also the stakeholders. It also might be your investors if you have them. So the entire time you are like a firefighting, putting out fires everywhere and trying to make sure you don't have these fires. The other thing is, you need to make people happy, mostly by solving their problems. But usually, as an entrepreneur, you don't have the money to pay proper staff. You need to find people that want to work for you because it makes them happy. In the beginning, you don't have a reputation that customers will come to you and gladly pay you. They will mostly pay you because they kind of like you. So, being a nice guy or girl, it but also being businesslike, but not. You don't need to be rude if you don't have to be. You can be polite and nice, and you can be honest if that helps. In the end of the day, your job as an entrepreneur is to create value by coming up with solutions for real world problems, not problems that you perceive, but problems that are really there. And these solutions need to work and need to be appreciated. And then you're fine. So your job is not to make business plans and make new products and websites and spend a lot of time behind your computer. That's not where you find answers to the questions that you have. The thing is, you need to talk to people. You need to find out what their needs are, and then you need to find out whether they like the direction in which you're going. So if I do an entrepreneurship course, I have a 5EC course for first year students. They need to talk to 20 people every week. That's their assignment. I don't care who they talk to or what they ask, but they need to go out there. They need to ask questions. They need to show their stuff. They need to see what people think of it and get feedback. So stay away from writing business plans and asking for money if you don't have customers yet. You need to focus on getting out there and experimenting. And besides that, you also need to convince people to join your cause. Like I said, you don't have money to pay employees, so you need to find people that are willing to work with you because they like the things that you're working on, and because they feel appreciated and valued. You also need to make sure that you know what you're talking about. If you talk about things and other people know it's bullshit, you're gone. So if you are going to be involved in some kind of topic, you really need to dig in, do research, read papers, watch YouTube movies. I don't care. You need to get knowledgeable about what you're doing, and you need to check all your assumptions. The surest way to die is to believe that you are right and you're not. The biggest challenge is that if you have no experience, everything that you think is probably not true or not completely true. So you need to validate your assumptions. You need to go out there and check whether what you think you really know. One of the other talks is related to leadership. You need to keep the whole show together. Yeah, because everybody has their own ideas. Everybody thinks they know what needs to be done. That's fine. But you need to keep the whole show together. So if you're too much involved in diving into your computer, making these business plans, you're not running the show. And you're not keeping everything together. And the last tip that I have is don't spend any money you don't have. In the beginning, you need to bootstrap. You need to not invest in product development before you have customers. You need to be very careful with that. If you don't spend money you don't have, you will never go broke. And if you live long enough, you will always be successful. That's my impression, because you acquire knowledge along the way, you acquire insights, you get to understand the playing field, you get to understand the function of your product for your customers, you get to understand your customers, you understand the game, and then you start winning. So yeah, make sure you don't spend too much at the beginning. Impact. Yeah, we talked about a lot about impact. I think nowadays, at least here in Europe, startups that do not aim to create some impact they hardly have a chance to get off the ground. And of course, you create impact by solving big problems for as many people as possible. And you can measure impact by taking the number of people that you affect times the effect that you have on them, and then you kind of can calculate impact. But if it's really big ugly problems, if you only help a few people first, it's fine. If it's really a matter of life and death, if you help two people and they don't die, I mean, of course, it's good. And you need to start small, but you need to think. You always need to keep your eye on the horizon. You need to know where you're going, and you need to make sure that in the end, if all your dreams come true, that what you do is significant, that is big, and that is worthwhile, also for other people to join you. A lot of problems that people come up with in my courses, they're not really problems, or maybe they're wishes for people. But if you come up with a solution and they need to pay like $2, they're not willing to pay. So you need to, if you find out a problem, you need to really dive into it and see whether it's really a problem, why it's really a problem, how many people suffer from that problem. You need to figure out. You need to talk to these people and ask them, okay, is this something that keeps you awake? And if they say, yeah, I'm worried, and then you kind of, if you say, well, if I would be Harry Potter with my magic wand, and if I waved my magic wand and the problem would go away, or it would reduce by 50%, or something like that, how much would you pay me? And if they're not willing to pay you to wave your wand, there's no real problem there, because people are not willing to pay for a solution. And of course, if you start talking about your solution already, then people will focus on your solution and not on the problem. And they will tell you what they don't like about your solution. And then you still haven't found out anything. So my advice really is, in the beginning, if you talk to customers about the problems, don't talk about solutions, but talk about, okay, what do you need for the problem to be solved, or what would be a acceptable solution. You need your customers to do the talking, and they need to kind of tell you how much they're willing to sacrifice for a solution. So if you know how much your customers are willing to sacrifice for a solution, and you know how many customers you can find, you multiply these two, and then you have the total addressable market. It's a nice exercise to see how big the market could be on which you're focusing. Yeah, because customer value, because that's really what we're talking about here. Uh, Customer value is expressible in the gain that customers have if they buy into your value proposition. A very small example. In Africa, in rural areas of Uganda, the people use wood fires to cook, and they just have a few stones, they have a pot on it, and they put wood in. But the wood, they don't cut it from the forest. They need to pay for it, and for instance, they pay about $20 for the wood for a family. So the cooking costs them $20 a month. They don't have a lot of money, so this is quite a significant amount. If you are able to come up with this little stove that only uses half the wood, yeah, you make your customer $10 a month, because they only use half the wood. And then you can calculate how much. And if your stove would cost $100, they would actually regain their investment in 10 months. And if the stove lasts for three years at least, they pay you $100 for a stove, but they're actually making money. So you're not taking money away from them, you're actually saving them money. And in this way you create value. So you need to figure out how much damage there is if they do not get a solution. And they, oh, sorry. And you need to figure out what conditions need to be met for your customers to consider your solution. One of the most important questions, if you have a business already, I see a lot of businesses, is entrepreneurs do not ask their questions, why the hell do you buy my product? Why don't you go there or there or there? They only say, do you like my product? Would you buy it? Again, it doesn't give you any information. But if you tell them, if they tell you why they buy from you and not from one of your competitors, you know why you're selling the product. It's hardly ever the quality or the price. And mostly is they like the service department, or there's something different usually that they use an argument to buy from you, and that's the message that you should be using in your marketing. I'm looking at the time. I need to hurry up, right? Yeah, fine.
Good to go. No problem.
Sorry.
Good to go, please. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
In problem solving, the problem analysis is a big issue. You need to kind of define the problem. And in the bottom line, someone is unemployed. If you this problem, as you defined, has causes. Maybe the causes in this case, it's someone that has outdated skills. There's no need for the skills of that person anymore. If they are unemployed, it has consequences. So their own benefit. So the municipality pays them an employment benefit. They suffer from low self-esteem, and they might have higher medical costs. If you look at this problem and you want to solve the problem, you can look at the causes of the problem and see if you can take them away. In this case, education might help to update outdated skills. In the consequences, you can find the funding for that. If you look at if someone is unemployed and they receive social benefits from the municipality in the Netherlands, they pay maybe 25,000 euros for someone who is long-term unemployed. If you are able to employ someone who's long-time unemployed, you can ask money for that. If you ask 5,000 euros, the municipality is happy to pay you, and it's not a subsidy. They pay for a service because you are able to employ a long-time unemployed person. And then the self-esteem goes up again, the medical costs go down again. So there's a lot of people on the consequences side that profit. And that's the stakeholders. And that's where you also need to create business models. And there's where you usually find your funding to help someone who is long-time unemployed to get employed again, to educate them and to find them a job. As an example. These are more tips. You're not a genius. Your solution is not better than anybody else's solution. It's a solution problem fit that will probably be better than others. And if you come up with ideas or you're working somewhere, check the state of art. There's probably 600 people that try to solve the same problem, and still the problem is there, so they did not succeed. But it's a very good idea to see what they've done right and what they've done wrong, where you can improve on their efforts. So build your success on the shoulders of giants. And if you think you have something of value, you need to prototype and test it. revise it, prototype it, and test it again and again and again until the moment that people are pulling your solution out of your hands. Then you have traction. Then people are asking for it while you don't have it. And only then do you invest in product development, production, and marketing. You need to have customers first. Is it hard to become an entrepreneur, to become successful as an entrepreneur? Yes, I guess I wouldn't do it at this point in my life. I wouldn't start a business. But it's also not hard. It's also very doable. Of course, it's a lot of work. It requires a lot of attention and commitment. There's no room for your ego. You will fail, and people will laugh about you, and you will probably fail a lot. But you need to continue anyway. You need to question your beliefs all the time, and you're not getting paid usually. And no, because entrepreneurship can be learned. It can be taught and can be learned. Anybody can learn it. If you have this wish to save the world from disaster, go for it. And you learn by trying and failing and trying again. Actually, it's not failing. It's learning. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you learn. It's that attitude that helps you go through these difficult early stages and become successful. We did an experience. We had a student incubator for the both universities in Utrecht. We in 3 or 4 years time we had 120 student startups, and they were unprepared. They were just, if they said, yeah, I want to start my own company, they were welcome. And we would have a small course for them. 80 of those startups actually became successful. 15 of them became very successful. They were either employing 15 people or making more than €1 million in turnover. And all these entrepreneurs were under 25 at the start, and they also graduated. So that's my entrepreneurship course in a nutshell. Thank you.
See what you have to say, ask what you have to ask.
Yeah.
I love the emoji that you're using here.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I think you really covered the crux of what we expected out of the topic. And I'm sure we had lots of takeaways. It's so visible through the questions that I've received. But the paucity of time, I would not be able to take all of them, but I would definitely pick up the most important ones and I'll put forward it to Professor Nils. All right. So here's question number one. So, what are the examples of entrepreneurs or brands who made a difference that you admire?
Well, there's one guy. He's called Slot. He started. He was 17 when he started the business, ocean cleanup.
Wow.
There was too much plastic floating around in the ocean, and he said, "Well, we need to clean it up." He was 17. He had nothing, but he started working on it. He started coming up with possible solutions. And at a certain point in time, he's a very nice chap, and he works hard and he keeps his promises and he listens, and so he got big sponsors like very big Dutch contractors, and they're actually having this huge ship with trawling equipment behind it, going through the garbage patch in the ocean. And it's finally working. It's 7 years later. But when he just started, there were some people who said, "Oh, stupid! You should not clean up the sea. You need to go to the source. You need to clean up the rivers." And to prove Slot wrong, they started cleaning up the rivers. And like I thought, well, is there anything else we can still clean up? It's. And sometimes I don't think there's a business model behind it. but it gets the right people interested and focused, and they put their heads together. They pool their resources and they start doing stuff. So I was not involved at all in this, but it's something that it's a bit of a red herring, but it's something that can happen. In the Netherlands, we have a chocolate company that started paying chocolate farmers proper wages. And they brought this, it was a foundation that brought this chocolate on the market. By now, it's the biggest chocolate producer.
That's great. Wow.
And they needed to change they couldn't be in a foundation anymore, so now they're a business, but they're still paying the farmers proper wages. So yeah, and from my own side, there's a company that's doing quite well that helps like consultancy companies fulfill their social responsibility practices by connecting consultants to NGOs and to have them do website development or setting up new bookkeepings. And they're very, very successful because the consultancy companies don't have to do much. They have people that are not engaged at the moment, and they kind of lend them out to NGOs to achieve their goals. So yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yes. Well, I'll take the next one. Looks quite interesting. I'm really excited to know your views on this. How can entrepreneurial leadership influence culture and ethics in business?
I'm not at this moment. I'm not sure.
That's a safe answer.
No, but if I see what's happening, I like a company like Google. I was a fan of Google. I've never been a real fan of Microsoft. maybe like a long time ago I was. And the motto of
that statement of yours answers the question actually.
Yeah, but they said do no evil, and now it's all they do, and I don't get it. And how can you influence those forces? It's very
I know, absolutely. I got your answer.
So you need to stay away from that, and you need to do your own thing. Like
True.
I said, any soul you save is worth saving, and so you need to focus on your own thing.
Very true. I have the question, which is what the topic was all about for today. How do you measure whether you are truly making a difference?
By asking the people that you have helped. It's about research. You need, like, usually you like I worked in Africa with NGOs, and if you read the yearly reports of all the NGOs, they were all successful, yet Africa is still very poor. So you need to look further than your own horizon. You need to see what side effects your efforts bring. It's difficult. It requires courage, but you need to be smart about it. You need to be unafraid about it. You need to accept that you might fail or have actually failed. But if you don't learn from that, then it's a waste of money. It's okay to fail, but you need to learn from it and improve what you're doing to make sure that the impact that you have is lasting.
I know. Well, this sounds an interesting question as well. Well, she appreciates initially, so thanks for this insightful session. The question is, how do you reconcile the paradox between entrepreneurial disruption and the responsibility to preserve societal stability?
I don't believe that entrepreneurs need to be disruptors.
True that.
It's bullshit. It's not true. It's not helping anybody.
Correct.
It's filling their pockets, and then what? You need to know any dollar in anybody's pocket is coming from somebody else's pocket. And unless you have exchanged that dollar for true value, then it's okay. But mostly that's not what's happening. So yeah, I sound like a socialist. I don't think I really am. But I am socially aware.
True.
And I don't believe that shareholder value is the only thing that counts.
Agree that. Can an entrepreneur truly claim success if their business thrives financially but leaves society unchanged?
Well, no, not in my book. Probably it's okay, but not in my book. No. And my investors are not impressed either. Somehow, I learn a lot from them because I have long-term relations with them, so I can follow their investments and then see. Usually, they're pretty successful. They're not getting rich, but their startups usually do thrive. Except, the money is always reinvested, and it's difficult to make money as a seed capital investor. It's actually too much work. But they're not doing it for the money. They want their money back if they invested, but they want to see things happening. Yeah, and the success of the company is one
Right.
thing, but the impact on society is another thing. Yeah, and just
Very
making
good.
money. There's so many companies aimed at making money. Yeah, I don't care about them, and my investors don't care about them either.
True. I think it's just an add-on to the next question. I mean, the previous question, what I just asked you. How does making a difference as an entrepreneur would attract talent or partners or investors?
Yeah, it's why they do it. If you do not make a difference, it's
Correct.
very hard to attract talent. You need to pay them, and you have no money. It's very hard to find seed investors because they're not interested in your promises of riches. They want to know what you're going to do.
Sure. I would take up the last question with your permission. This sounds interesting too. Should entrepreneurs prioritize making a difference globally, or is creating a hyper local impact more sustainable and meaningful? What's your view on it?
No difference to me.
Okay.
It totally depends on your knowledge, your network, and your resource that you have available. You need to leverage your own strengths. If that's an international, you need to go that way. If that's local, you need to go local. But local to me is totally fine. You need to start somewhere, and when you have success, you can see where they can roll it out in different spots.
So the major target audience of this session is students. So if you can ask a question on behalf of the students, what do you think the key skill sets that the students should inculcate to become the next Mr. Nils?
Critical thinking. Get rid of your ego. I'm not a good entrepreneur. I have too much ego. Because you need to question all your beliefs. And perseverance, empathy, and leadership.
Absolutely.
They're all actually, you need to be a hardworking, nice guy with an open mind.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I think,
or girl for that matter. I mean,
yes.
Girls are just as good as entrepreneurs as boys, but somehow they're lately it's mostly guys I see becoming entrepreneurs.
Very true. Well, definitely. I mean, this is a very true point. You especially mentioned the skill sets that these young budding entrepreneurs would inculcate. I completely agree on that. Well, it was fabulous listening to you, Professor Nils. I think it really met everyone's expectations. While I really got too much interested towards the topic, towards the title, because it's all about projecting yourself different and unique compared to the rest. And somebody speaking on, the topic, which is your key strength. I think there was loads of takeaways for all of us. And that was quite visible when students asked questions. I, in fact, skipped many of the questions. I really apologize, students, because of the paucity of the time. But I would definitely request all of you, this session will be uploaded very soon in our official YouTube channel. So you can always go back and, have a look at the entire session once again for better clarity. Well, I have an interesting, I would say, solution or a remedy as well. You can all like Professor Nils in LinkedIn and, connect him, and definitely his page or his journey is an amazing textbook for us, for the budding entrepreneurs. Well, Professor Nils, I extend my heartfelt thanks to you for this wonderful interaction, I would say. As I said, 100% expectations met, beautifully crafted. Time management was excellent. The thoughts, the research data that you captured, and the analysis that you made that speaks of your humongous journey that you had, both as an educator and as an entrepreneur. I extend my heartfelt thanks on behalf of all the audience out here and the GIBS management. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. I really look forward for many more interactions with you in the coming days. And more importantly, I look forward to host you in my campus once in India, and that will be your first visit to me as well.
I have time in the future, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Really, thank you very much. It was really a delight to be invited here. It's good for my ego as well. So yeah, I will make available my teaching materials to you if you want to, so you can share them with your students.
Yeah.
And I thank you very much.
That's great. If I happen to fly down to Netherlands, I make sure that I will visit you once. And my good friend, Yeli Ofrens, who made the session possible. Thank you so much. I extend my thanks to all the viewers as well who joined, and for their patient listening, and all the students who asked the wonderful questions. Yes, a special appreciation to all of you. Well, now, this is Professor Guru Prasad signing off, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Professor Nils. Bye-bye.